Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS387P, and today is March 3rd. And let's see, I realized last week I didn't post up the video. Let me share my screen. And okay, so the last video was video 6. Yeah, I think maybe it was video 6. So let's look at the best place to look is a YouTube playlist, because when I upload the video, the first screen I upload has me select the playlist. So it's always going to go in here. And so this is the video that I just uploaded earlier, and I remember why I didn't upload it, because I was thinking of adding to it, because I only got through section 6.1 and half of section 6.2. So anyway, that's up there, and you can look at it later. But so in today's video, I'm going to start inside section 6.2 where I finished, and I'm going to try to get through section 6.6. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here, and it starts to get pretty complicated. And so I'm going to go over it a little bit. But there's some stuff that you should know how to do. But then there's other stuff that it's not anything we're going to get into, but it's really ways that you can make animated objects and stuff move around on the screen and everything. So we'll see how that works, but we're not going to really get into it too much. And then I guess we can start with form validation and go on into Ajax next week. So I'm definitely going to have to add some lectures, some more videos in the upcoming weeks, because we're in this week right here. Wait a minute, this is March 3rd. So we're in the second week of chapter 6, and we're not going to get through it today, and we might not even get through it next time, depending on how much time I spend on these labs. Oh, there's a lot of labs. Okay. Okay, so we'll have to buzz through those. So I couldn't do it this week because I seem to have fallen behind in 2 other classes, and so I scheduled 2 classes for those classes, and you can always go to my cansit.in and see what my schedule is for the week. So this is this day. My goodness, I have a class after this too. Anyway, it's the first one of 128. So anyway, next week I'll schedule 2 classes for this class. All right, so yeah, and so actually this kind of stuff here goes along very well with this Ajax stuff that we're going to cover next week. So it's getting closer. All right, so if we go to see, I'm sharing my screen. 6.2. And so it's pretty important. Hold on, let me close my door. So you're gonna have to go through this in a little bit more detail than I'm going to cover, because it's kind of there's kind of a lot of seemingly advanced stuff here. I don't know how much of this you got in 227. I know you got some of it, but you may not have gotten into some of these more advanced sections that we're covering here, like more DOM modification and some of this event-driven programming stuff. So last time we left off somewhere around Okay, we're figuring out how to basically to address all of the entities or objects that are on a web page, and how they're connected together, and they're connected together, or you at least can reference each element. If you can picture this tree structure where we have this HTML document, and then we have a head and a body, and then within that we've got, you know, more things, and it basically boils down to these very low level objects on the screen, and then there's inside there's things like text and attributes to size them and so on. So, for example, a complete document object model for a simple website that looks like this, you know, would look like this nice tree structure. And you notice there's white space is also included in this tree here, because there's white space between, you know, between this point and this point and so on. All right. So we actually got down to here. This is sort of in the very end of the last video, and what it is it's how to access or reference, or another way of looking at it is searching the document object model for particular elements, and you're given the document, you know, object has these methods that come along with it for helping you find these objects, and you find them because, for example, a text box, you want to read what's in it. You may just find some text, a paragraph, and you may want to change that, and so on. You maybe want to change the context of a text area, and you may want to change an image. You may want to make something disappear, or you may want to remove it completely. And there's many different ways of referring to these objects. You can refer to them by element ID. You know, you can add an ID attribute to any element. You can reference them by the tag name, like the type of element it is. This is a list, you know, element, a list node. You can refer to them by class name. You know, you can use the class attribute, or the class attribute to specify a class name, and then you can refer to elements that way. Get elements by class name. So an example. This is an example. You can get there's a selector. There's a query selector, which for you know, query selector returns the first element found in a document object model that matches the CSS selector passed to the method. So, for example, if you are looking for this, would refer to the first LI tag or element or node, and so that would be referring to the first one, which is the first LI. You go down the line here, this is the first LI, so it's referring to this thing right there. And all, query selector all would actually return an array of the elements. This, for example, will return an array of all the elements that have these two elements in them. So that would be the first one and the second one, because they both have an LI and an A element. So anyway, and then this section tests your understanding of when to use what. And so there's this like refers to an element, or this refers to an element with an ID field that's specified with list. With this, it's called list, and ID equals list. This gets back a elements by tag name. So it would be li. So it would be and it just returns the first one, I think. Oh, maybe it returns more than one. The plural. Let's see. Let's look up here. Get elements by tag name returns an array. Okay. This one. Ah, yes. Get elements by tag name. Get elements by. Okay, it's going to return ul. Okay, get elements by tag name is returns an array. Get elements by tag name of all of the ones that are like that, and so this is going to return all of the ones that are like that are ul, and then this is going to access the first one of them. First one of the tags ul, and so there's only one, this one. So I think that's right. So it's going to be this one. Oh wait, where am I? It's going to be this one. Yeah. Okay. All right. And this is going to bring give all this is going to be an array, and it's going to I guess it's selector all li. Is it this one? Yeah. Selector all list. Okay, so this is the selector with a selector that's got an ID of list, I think. None of the item tags. None of the list item tags. Oh. Oh, no, it's ul as a list. Okay, so that's why. So it's not, it would, is it this? Yeah, this one. Because that, and this would be a class, special selectors of which is a class, it's a selector, so it's going to be one. Selector, it's going to return the first element that matches that. So it's going to be the first element of this class. And so that's this one and this one. So it's going to be this one, I guess. First P element. And this is going to look for an item. Oh, no. This is going to look for selector. It's not ID, because if it's an ID, there'd be a hashtag in front. There'd be a pound sign like that. This is an ID of list, see? So that's not this. So this is more like, see, this is for class, this is for ID, and this would be for a tag called item-3, and there's no such thing as a tag called item-3. So I guess it's this one. It's an element selector, and there's no element called this. Okay, there's an element called this, but not this. All right. So of course you can modify. You know, this is how you might read them. Well, actually, something like this, something like that returns an array, you actually get an object back, and so then you still have to further use. You can use dot notation to refer to further things down inside the object. Okay, so searching for the. Why do you want to? Why do you want to search for DOM elements? Well, you can do things like change which image is displayed by messing with the src attribute of an image tag. You can determine which image is actually being displayed, or the URL of the image, the file name of the image. You can modify the style attribute of something, you know, make it look different, change some colors or something. So every attribute for an HTML document has, every attribute for an HTML element has identically named an identically named property in the element's DOM node. So what they're saying is that, like, for example, here's an HTML element, it's the A tag, and they all are going to have an href, and they all of course can have this. There are, and they just, I don't know why they have to have names for this, but there are getters and there are setters. The getters are readers and setters are writers. Okay, so if you want to get the if you want to get this, you know, you want to get that value there, you can refer, and this is called, this gets element by ID. That's, so we're getting this one, and this gets the href attribute. That's this right here. See, so that is referring to the href attribute. That's like a variable name, and this is like the value of the variable. So this now is equal to this string. See, it's equal to this. And then setters means you can just write to it. That just means it can be on the left side of an assignment statement. Here we see this thing on the left side of an assignment statement. So we are writing into it, or we're storing into it. So that's a setter. And then for a getter, we see this on the right side of an assignment statement. It can be inside of an expression, but nonetheless, it's on the right side because we're going to try to get the value out. You can actually just get rid of the attribute altogether, you know. So if we get rid of the href attribute in here, then the link won't work anymore. Okay, this tests your understanding of that. Reading and modifying DOM node attribute values. Okay, so here we have some HTML. Enter the missing attribute to make the image display success.png. So we would want this to be something like document wait, status. It's this one. It's this one. So we already have this. So I think we can just do this. Pick dot. Yes. We're supposed to say what this is. It would be src. I think I just need to put src here. Is that right? Yes. You see, so this here does not refer to an actual field or an actual attribute. It refers to the whole object. It refers to this whole image object here. And then so then you can go ahead and refer to attributes in that, still using this dot notation, where now you just need to say pick. So here's pick and then dot all of the things, you know, all the attributes. So this can be src, or it could be, well, it could be width, it could be alt, it could be ID, I guess, if you wanted to read what it is, and so on. Enter the node and attribute required to read the current image name. So this is the current image. I guess this is like if pick.src, huh? Pick.src. All right, so you want to do that. Okay, modifying node content. Okay, so let's say you have a paragraph and you want to modify what's inside the paragraph. So that's so I use inner HTML, and so you can put anything you want in there, and it can, anything, including HTML, and then that's what's it's gonna change what the inside of a paragraph is. So here, for example, we've got a paragraph here. Well, we've got a paragraph here, and if we want to change what's inside that paragraph, we use the setter, which means we have this on the left side of an assignment statement, and this is what we're storing into it. Okay, and so it becomes something that looks like this, or that acts like that. Now, the difference between text content and inner HTML is that text content only replaces text. So if you put HTML in here, they tell me that it's not going to actually recognize the HTML. So it's kind of like, you apparently will see the HTML. I've never tried it. I'd like to try it. Let's get a chance sometime. Maybe we can try it down here. Yeah, let's try it down here when we get there. All right, so these are the two ways you do that, and I use this quite a bit. So here we're using. So you can see the differences between these two things here. I won't do that now. Okay, less common ways of changing node content are you can actually do this node value. You can say first child, and you can like go back to its tree structure representation and traverse down the tree using this dot notation and change attributes in the element that way. The inner text is similar to text content. Where was that I said about? The inner HTML property uses an internal parser to create any new DOM nodes. You see, if you put a bunch of HTML in there, you could be creating new nodes. It's HTML. You use HTML to create nodes, so you could, throw a form in there. Throw some text boxes in there and a form tag and so on. You can't do that here. So this will actually render the HTML into possibly new DOM nodes. An HTML using a hidden attribute is not this. Okay, so there's an attribute called hidden, which is how you can hide an element that appears on the screen. So this helps you understand that. Now with these participation activities here, you have to notice that there's two of them here. There's the JavaScript side and the HTML side. And so when you're doing them, you may have to go over here and mess with this. Like here, your solution goes there. So this is 6.2.7. Do I have any notes on that? HTML element using, okay. Add JavaScript in the change page function so that clicking on the use current astronomy button does the following. Okay, so we have a use current astronomy. It's a button right here, use current astronomy. When we click on it, it should do something, I guess. Once it's clicked, it'll remove the remove attribute, uses remove attribute to remove the hidden attribute from the paragraph with the page, with the ID P2, causing the paragraph to become visible. Right now, it's already visible. Remove the hidden attribute. Remove the hidden attribute from the paragraph of P2. Okay, this is hidden. That's why we don't see it. Yeah, we don't see it. So when we click the button, we remove that. And then with here, we're going to change this to Neptune. And then we're going to use the inner HTML property of the paragraph of PID4. We're going to put something in there. And what we're going to put in there is this whole thing here. Okay. So the first thing is we're going to remove this attribute. Let me look at this here. I see. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find P2. We want to grab P2 and we're going to remove the hidden attributes. So that would be right here. I'm going to say P2 let P equal, I'm going to call P2. Let P2 equal document dot get element by ID parentheses. I think this has got to be a capital B. And which one I want is P2. Oops. I'm referring to, what happens if I do this? I'm referring to this P2 here. Oh, good, it's still there. So that's the element I want. So I'm gonna be able to refer to it just like P2, and I want to do other stuff. And then what I want to do is I want to remove P2 dot remove. Which attribute do I want to remove? I want to remove the hidden attribute. Okay, so that's going to remove the hidden attribute, and that'll make it appear. So what happens if I run it now? Okay, watch this. Whoa. All right. Guess they got a problem with dwarfs. Oh, that's not good. All right, what's next? Use the text content property of the span with, okay, so I gotta do, what does this look like now? Oh, I'm just gonna change that to Neptune. Right? Okay, so I can say document get element by ID. Which one is it? Oh, last planet dot text content equals Neptune. Okay, so all right, render the web page. Looks like that. Oh, look, it changed it. Let's reset the code. Render, okay. Pluto is the farthest planet. Now it says Neptune is. Okay, and so you can finish that. That's pretty easy. What was I gonna? I was gonna try something. I can't remember what it was. Anyway. Okay, anyway, I forgot what I was going to try. I was going to try something when I got down to a place where I could. But okay, so you need to finish, go through the changing the DOM content. This is something where refer to the JS looks like that, and we are matching Match the letters to the missing JavaScript property or method. Ah, good. So we're testing query selector, all inner HTML and text content. We're calling it span, and we want to change the text content. Okay, this would be text content because it's just text. We're changing this word to least favorite. So that would be text content A. And then B is, so this is a list. This is an array that's being returned, and this iterates through the array. But the fact that this is an array must mean it's got to be an array returning function, which would be this one. So that would be B. And the reason this is C is because we got some HTML in there. So we need to use this inner HTML. Okay, using the document, what time is it? 3:04. Using the document object list, assign list nodes to with all the elements with the class name language item. So here, what is start? Let list nodes. Assign list nodes with all elements with the class name of language. Class name. Let's see. Do I have I think I have a note here for me. Okay, so we're going to use get element by class name. Is that here? Yes. We're going to use get elements by class name. We're going to use this one. Here. So list nodes, that's this, equals document get elements by class name of language item. All right, so you can continue with that. All right, what's next? More. Oh, this is okay. So we're starting to get pretty heavy here. So accessing those, the JavaScript object document element is the root of the DOM tree. And document nodes have the properties for accessing a node's parent, children, and siblings. So you see, you can traverse through this tree and access elements that way. So you're accessing object till you finally get down to attributes. So you can go up, you can go down by an array. Children property is similar to other child nodes, except the array contains only element nodes and no text nodes. So this one could also include text nodes, such as white space. Next, element sibling refers to the element node with the same parent following the current node, so it's your sibling. So the OL node is the P node's next sibling. So you can refer to the P node and then do dot next element sibling, and you're going to actually then be referring to the OL. And previous must be the one just before it. Oh no, it refers to the element node with the same parent preceding. So so the preceding one for here is P. Makes sense? I can't imagine a use for this unless you're doing something really fancy on the screen, making a game or something. And so here you can add objects, you know, add a DOM node to the object's child nodes, so adding another child, insert a DOM node as a child before an object's existing child node, so remove child. So these are ways you can do some really interesting things on the screen if you want to. I can't even think of an assignment of why you do this, but I'm sure there are lots of contexts. Maybe you can come up with one. All right, manipulating the document object model. Assign new element with a new LI element. Assign text node with a new text node named Terry. Did I make this? I don't think I copied the answer to this. So let's see. So let me start. I'm just going to see what this is like. Okay. Assign new element. New element. No, put something here. Let's see what the answer is. New element equals this. So this is create new. Let new element. Okay. Text node. Okay. That's that. So first we're going to okay, so first we're just going to create a new element called LI in the document. So that's just going to put a new LI here. And then we're going to assign a child node. So we're going to create a new element. So we have a name for it. And then we're going to create a text node called Terry. And then this thing is going to assign this text node as a child of LI. And then this is going to take this new element and append it to the child of parent tag, which is the list. Wow. Okay. So that's so it would look like this, I guess. Let new element equal document dot create element li. So we're creating a new li document and object, and then we're gonna doesn't really show the answer. It doesn't show the answer, does it? It doesn't show what happens. I think to show what happens, I'd need to, what time is it? 3:12. I would need to pull up some sort of here we go. We're right in here. Let me get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna take this. I can't do it, can I? How do I reset this thing? Can I reset it? It doesn't let me do anything, does it? Ah, I hate that. And it's not going to let me copy anything, is it? Okay, so let me just this is different. All right, I'm gonna try to see if this works. P and John, Jade, and the div. Okay, and if we render this, let's save it, and let's go to R, and if we open this up, okay, so that's what it looks like. And Joe, whatever. And then I'm going to have some JavaScript here, and I'm just going to put the JavaScript up here. And I'm going to put this solution in there. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say, let parent tag equal document get. And I'm going to say this stuff. And then I'm going to say, can I copy this? Oh, no, thank you. This. Okay. So now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run it and see what it actually does. I'm going to refresh this, and what am I doing wrong? Maybe I've got to do this. Oh, there we go. All right, so it looks like it worked. Okay, I believe it. Okay, what's next? Event-driven programming. Is this the last of the sections I'm going to cover today? Let's see. Oh no, timers. Oh no, I want to cut. I actually want to get through these last two sections. Okay, event-driven programming. Okay, so this is how you how you make things happen on the screen. It's how you make the program, the browser be responsive to the user, to actions that made by the user. Event-driven programming is a programming style where code runs only in response to various events. And so you have to you create these event handlers or event listeners, and they're listening. An event listener is looking for certain events. You got to program that, and then when that event occurs, it will make this event handler execute. It'll cause the event handler to execute. It's a method that will execute when the event listener recognizes that an event that it's looking for has taken place. So here's an example of how the input style property can change. And so the way this works is you've got here we're looking through all the inputs, all of the objects on the screen that are input tags. There's two of them here, it looks like, two text inputs. And so this loops through all of them, and it names the each time it's calling it by name here of input. And the first thing it does is it changes the input style border to solid red. And then it adds an event listener, where when focus, or when this object that it's looking at if this object that it's looking at has received focus. In other words, if the user's clicked on it and the mouse is, the cursor is blinking inside the text box, then that means that text box has the focus. If that's the case, then it executes this function. And you can do this in JavaScript, where you define the function right there. And what this does is it changes the border to green, from red to green. And so this loop here continually sets it equal to red, defines this, and then defines this event listener, where if it has focus, it turns it green, and it defines this event handler, this event listener, where if the object becomes blurred, in other words, when some other object gains focus and the current object, the focus is removed from that current object, then it turns the border blue. So if we see how this works, we can see, first of all, it runs, and the user puts the mouse and clicks on the name text box here, and as you saw, that thing, this part executed. Let me try this again. Okay, let's just keep going. Types it in, and then the user is going to click on the answer text box, which is going to cause the name text box to blur, and it's going to cause the answer text box to turn solid green. So this executes, which makes it blue, and then this executes, which makes it green. And then we run the next, we run the next one. Oh, I want to click that. So the user presses the answer input text box, types in 42, and then clicks outside, which makes it blur, and which turns the outside blue. So that's how that works. Just test your understanding of that. This is each event is given a name that represents the corresponding action. The event name for the mouse movement is mouse move, and the event name for key press is key press. So this is pretty obvious. Let's see. Caused by a mouse click. How about this? Caused by mouse entering area defined by an HTML element. That would be mouse over. Caused by a mouse exiting the area defined by an HTML element. Well, I think that's probably this one. Caused by a mouse moving within an area, well, that would be move. A user pushing down on a key on the keyboard, that'd be key press. Key down. And then releasing a key would be key up. So see how granular you can get, caused by the user pressing and releasing the key on the keyboard. Well, I guess this is the key press. So anyway, all right. The following events for each of the web developers, for which web developers commonly write handlers, is if you know, something, the element value changes. There was an input event which caused the value in an input area to be changed. Load event is caused when the browser completes loading a resource. And you know, DOM content loaded is an event which is caused when the HTML file is fully loaded and parsed. But these other things might not be fully loaded. Focus and then blur and then submit. So there are three ways to write event handlers. The most common way is, like, I guess the worst way, embedding the handler as part of the HTML. So here we have a button, and then we just embed, this, we define an on-click event inside the HTML and specify the method which we're going to write in JavaScript someplace else as the event handler. So this sets the click event handler for the button element using the on-click attribute. The attribute name is used to register the handler. The attribute name used to register the handler adds the prefix of on to the event name. Okay, so embedding a handler in HTML mixes content and functionality, and thus should be avoided whenever possible. Second is setting the DOM node event handler property using JavaScript directly. So you say this, the on-click event is equal to the click handler. That's another way of doing it, but then using DOM node properties is better than embedding handlers within the HTML, but has the disadvantage that setting the property only allows one handler for that element to be registered. So the best way is to use this add event listener method to register the event handler. So you execute these things, like in this one. For these, you want to add this event listener. We're listening for a click event, and when that happens, we're going to execute this handler. But it's nice because you can add more than one. The add event listener method allows for separation of content and functionality and allows multiple handlers. All right, it's getting late. So here's an example of that. Registering event handlers. Bubbling phases, you know, that's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know when I'd use it though. preventing default behavior. Propagation. This is well, you define in event bubbling. The browser traverses the DOM tree from the event target node back up the root tree, calling all the event-specific handlers registered for the bubbling phase of the current node. So I'm not really sure when bubbling is used. It sounds like a Google question. All right, check password. Okay, timers. This is a pretty important thing to know how to do, but the best time to learn how to do this is when you actually have a case where you need to put a timer in there and keep track of something and check back. You can do it a couple ways: interviews or intervals, or just by looking at the time itself. And modifying CSS with JavaScript, of course, we can do that. We can set different colors, change the colors. We sort of did that before, changing the border styles. And it's just, it's just an attribute. Style is an attribute, and you can just change it right to it using the setter, using it as a setter. You can adding and removing classes. Of course, you can change that because, again, they're just attributes. And form validation. Okay, so next time we're going to start form validation, and that's where we really start to get into stuff that's important for using with APIs, server-side APIs that we're going to write. All right. Are there any questions? Nice you can join us, Justin. I will see you next week. Take care.